integration is the one that really has an impact on business outcomes, and that's probably, if you really think about it, is because the data can then be sort of utilized for business decision making.
Hello, and welcome to the Workforce Newsroom. I'm Ted Kopta. Today's employers face an increasingly complex landscape with integrations across their workplace technology. Joining me to talk about trends in this space is Chief Research Officer and Managing Partner at Sapient Insights Group, Stacey Harris. Stacey, thanks for being here today.
Very excited to be here, and great conversation to have.
Absolutely. So I'd like to start off by talking a little bit about the value of integrating technology systems in the workplace today.
It's a massive value proposition for organizations. We're seeing in our data, and we do a big survey every year annually, that organizations every year are finding that integrations is one of their primary challenges that they have with all of their system environments. We're seeing organizations pick up more systems every year. So the idea of being able to do better integrations saves not only money, but also saves resources and time. So people are really interested in it.
I know that the 27th version of your research just came out. What were some of the key findings this year around integration?
The big conversation, I think, for integrations is organizations are looking to what we call platform clusters conversation, which is the idea that they're trying to find anchor systems in their HR or their learning or their recruiting spaces where it's really important based on their business objectives and their goals. And then what they're doing is they're really focusing on finding the solutions that maybe partner with those and integrate really well. And so the idea of sort of best of breed or all-in-one is a little bit hard for people to put, they just can't seem to get it in all the systems that they're working with, which means that they're really focused on that integration with partners. And so this is a big conversation we're hearing over and over again, is that I want to be able to kind of get a primary system and someone that they can integrate really well with.
That's really interesting. It's interesting to see how the conversation has changed from that, is it best of breed, is it all in, to this new concept of clusters.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little about integration strategy. How should organizations be prioritizing and thinking about this integration?
Well, I think the biggest thing to understand about integration strategy is that there's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a conversation. There's three ways that we see over and over again that organizations get better business outcomes. One is that they have a strategy for their HR systems, which is nice. Another one is that they're perceived as a strategic HR function, which basically means their business partners are valuing them. But one of the third biggest ones is that they are total company-wide integration strategy, which means they're thinking about not just how HR systems are integrating, but how they're integrating across the platforms. And so an integration strategy really is not just saying, oh, we're going to do this all in APIs or we're going to do this all on one platform. It is understanding what's the data you need and where you need that data to be at, and thinking about the best way to get there, and thinking about how you want data to flow in your organization.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you see a lot of organizations have that strategy in place today?
No, unfortunately. Where we've seen organizations with HR system strategies go up, and we've seen organizations view a strategic HR function going up in our data set, integration strategies have stayed at just around 20% of organizations. It's not something that I think organizations think about when they think about all these things that they've got to do in HR systems, but it is a really important of having better business outcomes. One
of the things that ROI is so important when we're getting to better business outcomes. For that 20% that do have an integration strategy in place, what kind of ROI have their organizations seen?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So on average, we see about a 12% bump up, and that's across a 5-year look. So it's every year it changes slightly. But for those organizations who have invested in an integration strategy across HR talent and business outcomes, but in integration, you get a bigger bump up for your business outcomes, which is kind of interesting, because you would think that that would be more likely to align with sort of other things like HR system strategy or something else. But integration is the one that really has an impact on business outcomes. And that's probably, if you really think about it, is because the data can then be sort of utilized for business decision making, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Does it have a different flavor from a global standpoint or in different geographies?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's harder just in general to do integrations across different global environments. Some of it's because of regulations, some of it because of the challenges that you have with different HR functions. But I think part of what they're looking for in this day and age, if you're going to be able to use artificial intelligence, you have to have clean data. So we're seeing some of that get cleaned up a little bit. And we're also seeing some of the regulations, vendors are understanding them better, and they're giving more guidance on how to do that. So I think we're getting through some of that.
Yeah. What kind of tips or advice would you offer an organization that's looking to embark on this integration journey with their HCM?
Yeah, I always tell people to not get stuck in a single way to do integrations, right? I think, sometimes we go into some of these SMB organizations who have an IT function who's like, well, I'll just write my custom API on this. That's how I'll do it, right? Or we always have one platform, and if it doesn't work with that platform, we don't do it. I always tell people sort of what you're looking at is the outcome you're trying to achieve, and then figure out the best way to get there. But always look to your partners. I think a lot of people forget, and this is the conversation you and I have had, is how much their actual vendor can help them with these conversations instead of trying to do it all on your own. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Stacy, for being here today, and thank you for watching. To learn more, please visit adp.com/API Central.